The next one is about opportunities globally and strategic positioning of products. The panel chairperson is Dato Azman, CEO of Northport. Let's welcome him on stage.
Along with him, we have Mr. Chandran Rama Group Strategy Director, Batik Air Lion Air Group. A round of applause for Mr. Chandran Rama.
And we have Karthik Chidambaram. He is the founder and CEO of DCKAP USA. Please give a round of applause for the panelists.
And we have Mr. Murugappan from Dubai, Assistant General Manager, ECU Line Middle East LLC.
I'm actually taking this as national service, so thank you very much for bringing back some tourist dollars to Malaysia. It's good to be host to this very exclusive conference, and I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to play a small part in this conference. I will basically introduce the three panelists, but before that, just something about what I do. I am a CEO of a seaport, one of the oldest seaports in Malaysia, and I'm also chairman of the cruise terminal in Port Klang. So if you are out there shopping later today, you might bump into a few British people who are actually coming on board Queen Mary 2. Yeah? So nice to see more tourists in Malaysia. I hope you spend a couple of days extra in KL and take in the sights and the scenes. Yeah? Okay, I have this distinct pleasure of introducing these three distinguished gentlemen who we are very fortunate to have as our panel speakers this afternoon. So because we are actually pressed for time, I'll introduce them in very briefly, and then they'll talk about their companies, and then we'll go straight into the questions. I know that we are very, very short of time, so I won't be taking any questions from the floor, but I have managed to get the agreement of all the panel speakers to actually hang around so that you can actually approach them after the session if you have any burning questions. Yeah? So let me introduce the first panelist, Mr. Murugappan Alagapan. Basically, he's an MBA graduate from Annamalai University in 1987. He currently serves as the Assistant General Manager at ECU Worldwide, a leading MNC in Dubai, and he's actually been serving for the last 23 years. I note a few interesting things about him. He's a native of Devakotai. He's got a passion for social service and the Tamil language. He's a very skilled storyteller. And basically, he has been working as a marketing professional for the last 35 years. Yeah. So the next person is actually the next panelist is actually Karthik Chidambaram. He's the founder and CEO of DCKAP. He bootstrapped the company from his small apartment in Chicago, Illinois, and basically he's into simplifying commerce for distributors. It was started up actually with 2 people, 2 computers and a desk, and now it's a global and well-distributed team. Karthik actually holds a master's degree in computer engineering from Illinois Institute of Technology, Chicago. And obviously, he's the go-to man, with regards to technology and Industry 4.0 and AI and so on and so forth. Whereas the other 3 not so young gentlemen here are actually in the bricks and mortars business. So which leads me to the panelist speaker on my left, Dato Chandran Rama. He's basically an airline professional, and if you want to talk about setting up and startup, basically, I think he's done it all. And literally, he actually set up a company that actually took off. Yeah, literally. Yeah. So I had the pleasure of actually boarding the airline that he runs for my one and only trip to Delhi in 2017. So Dr. Chandran graduated from the Robert Gordon University, Aberdeen, United Kingdom, and he also holds a Master's of Science in Computing with distinction and Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration. So I'm just going to set the stage, basically. We've all had 3 years of new norms, pandemic, and so on and so forth. So what I will do, basically, is to get the 3 of them to introduce their business, and then we'll dive into what has happened over the last 3 years and what the future holds for all of us, basically. Yeah. So maybe I'll just take one at a time. Mr. Muru, can you please introduce your company? What do you do? Your products and your services?
Good afternoon, everyone. வணக்கம் அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். My name is Murugappan from Devakottai. I am working in ECU worldwide for the last 23 years in Dubai, and I take care of Dubai sales and Abu Dhabi and Northern Emirates in UAE. And otherwise, I am into marketing for the last 35 years. And I am just, anyway, whatever I am going to talk about here is about logistics, because I know predominantly logistics. And our company is ECU Worldwide. It's a multinational forwarding company, and present in 185 countries, about 300 offices worldwide. And we serve in all the products. In logistics has got a lot of verticals like LCL, FCL. LCL means less than a container load. FCL means full container load, air freight, and road transport, and 3PL logistics. Everything we are doing. And there are a lot of opportunities we have seen in the past, and we have changed ourselves to adapt to that, and we have got success. Now our company is growing a lot, so I will be talking more about it when it comes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Muru. Just for the record, I need to set this straight. Port operators don't make as much as logistics and shipping companies, okay? All right. Next, Karthik.
Yeah, Vanakkam, Nandri. Thank you for having us here. It's a pleasure to be here at IBCN Malaysia. Just to give you some background about DCKAP, we were bootstrapped. We started in 2005. We just started with 2 desks, 2 computers, 2 people. We made a lot of mistakes, had our ups and downs, did everything and anything you can name, and then slowly figured our niche. So today what we do is we simplify commerce for distributors. What does that mean? We work with industrial distribution community in the US. We work with the plumbing distributor, electrical supply distributor, construction supply distributor. And if you run a business, there are multiple systems. And you need these systems to talk to each other to provide a great experience for your customers. So essentially what we do is we provide an integration middleware or an integration platform which connects the multiple systems for distributors. இப்போ தமிழில் சிம்பிளாக சொல்லணும்னா, இப்போ நம்ம ட்வின் டவர் பார்க்குறோம், 2 டவர் இருக்குது. அந்த 2 டவரையும் கனெக்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு ஒரு பிரிட்ஜ் இருக்குது. எசென்ஷியலி we are a bridge. We are a bridge between different systems of a company, and that's our product. In addition to that, we also have other products for the distribution industry. So yeah, we simplify commerce for distributors.
Thank you, Karthik. Dato?
Thank you, Dato. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Chandran. I basically, as what Dato explained, I work for Batik Air Malaysia. Started in last 20 years, been with the airline. Since 2008, I joined Lion Air Group. And when I had the opportunity to start up an airline in Malaysia, in 2012, we started up Malindo Air and rebranded the airline to Batik Air Malaysia recently. So Malindo Air, we had until 2019, 45 aircraft flying into 17 countries, more than 50 over destinations, more than 7 million passengers. Then came COVID, everything gone. But as Lord Krishna rightly said in the Bhagavad Gita, even this will pass. So we have seen that the COVID is becoming an history, and business is starting to picking up again. We hope to regrow the airline to greater heights in coming years.
Thank you, Dato. Okay, we'll start off with the first question. We've all weathered the perfect storm of COVID-19 over the last 3 years. I'd like to throw this to all 3 panelists, basically. How did it impact your business? How did COVID-19 impact your business? And what are the lessons that you have learned from this episode? Very briefly, because we're, very sharp and concise, please.
Yeah, if I may start first, Dato. So in airline business, I'm sure the nature of the business is you sell, our air tickets are basically commodity. So you sell tomorrow's future tickets, expensive, cheap, you raise money, and then you basically cover the expenses of the day, which is the fuel expenses, aircraft lease rentals, and so on. So what COVID did was basically created a vacuum where you don't have future sales at all, zero. And basically that has forced us to make a lot of brutal decisions, lot of unpopular decisions to stay afloat. In a way, it's kind of, I must say that we are the badly hit business during COVID, which all of you will agree, apart from tourism industry. but somehow we managed to a lot of lessons, which is definitely not normal lessons, which we have to stay, put staff on unpaid leave, delay the payments, banks keep chasing you, right? They don't care what's happening out there, but they want the payment, right? So a lot of unpopular decisions, but we managed to ride through all this nicely in last 3 years, and today we are regrowing back, which is a good thing actually.
Yeah, thank you. Our story is a little different. So COVID was obviously scary, and we were in the technology business. If there's one thing we learned during COVID is run a lot of experiments and focus on culture. Let me give you an example. COVID happened sometime in March, right? So that's when everybody started talking about COVID. And one thing we did as a company is one day, even before, the entire country was in a lockdown. A lot of our team is in India as well. And even before the Prime Minister of India announced a lockdown, even before there was any talk of a lockdown, what we did as a company is we decided, hey, why don't we just shut our offices? And then why don't we work from home? Because there is a lot of news like this happening. And then there was a lot of resistance, and we were not too sure if this was the right thing to do. What we thought initially was, okay, we will keep our offices closed for a few days, run it as an experiment, see what happens, and then come back to the office. So that was our thought process. And exactly a week later, the Prime Minister said, hey, we're going to shut down the entire, nobody can go to the office, we're going to shut down the country kind of a thing. And it kind of made us look smart, but essentially we just got very lucky, the culture of experimentation. And then during the month of April and May, we were very scared, we didn't do any hiring. And we also thought, hey, what if no money comes into the business? How are we going to handle that? So fortunately, we did have some cash reserves, so because of the mistakes we did in the past. So that's something we learned. But then for a couple of months, we didn't do any hiring. And sometime in June, what we decided, in June 2020, what we decided is most of our people were in Tamil Nadu. So we said, hey, why don't we hire people from across India? This opens up an opportunity. So we started hiring people from different states. We started hiring people from Delhi, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and everywhere. And one big benefit we saw because of this is the communication level. Especially if you are from a tier 3 or a tier 4 city, the communication level of people is not that great. But then we saw the communication level of our staff improve leaps and bounds because of this. Now that we started hiring people from different locations and different states. So this went on, and then all of us were working from home. And then sometime in November of 2021, what we did is we decided to run another experiment. So we said, okay, this is working well, and all of us are remote, we're not going to the office. And then there were talks about people coming back to the offices, companies asking people to come back to the offices. So what we decided is, hey, now that we have people from more than 10 or 15 different states in India, if we open our office in Tamil Nadu, then what will happen to those guys? They will have a disadvantage. So what we decided is, in November of 2021, let's go fully remote. We are not going to open our offices, so it will be a completely distributed team. And that was really, really interesting. And we are really reaping the benefits of that right now. Let me just give you, a couple of weeks back, I went to Uttar Pradesh, first time there, Hindi heartland. I visited Lucknow, and I was able to meet a couple of my colleagues there, and we had coffee together. And this is something which would not have happened if not for COVID. So essentially, we really wanted to convert, this was always in our mind, to convert COVID into an opportunity or crisis into an opportunity, and that's how we handle COVID. Yeah.
Sumaru?
Like every one of us, we also got affected of COVID. But in some time, the one industry which took very well is shipping industry, I believe, because one is affected is air freight. Otherwise, sea freight department was doing very well. And I will give you an example. Actually, there was a good trade between UAE and Qatar for many years, and they do a lot of trade. But between 2017 and 2021, there was a diplomatic problem, and they stopped everything. No transportation, no trade, no flights, nothing from 2017 to 2021. That time, people who are all trading from UAE to Qatar or Qatar to UAE, they were finding it very difficult. But they found a way to send these cargoes through Oman. Oman was friendly with both the countries, UAE and Qatar, both the countries. So they were trying to take this opportunity, and they did very good thing that all the cargo from UAE will go to Oman as an import there, and then it will be re-exported from there as a fresh export to Qatar. And for this, there are some facilitating companies are required. So the Oman government issued a lot of licenses to open up companies to facilitate this. So then a lot of companies came, and this trade was going on, even though the price was little high, but it was going on, and the trade was not stopped. Government also knows, even both the government, UAE knows, Qatar knows, but they can't stop it because it is done legally, and it is documents are transferred. So like this, there are opportunities coming in every problem. That opportunity was taken by that government, and they did. The same way we are also enjoyed by doing the shipments regularly. We didn't stop that particular trade lane. It was going through. That's why the Thiruvalluvar says, Kokkokka kuppum parvattu matradan kuttokka சீர்த்த இடத்து அப்படின்னு ஒரு குறள் சொல்றாரு. That in that he explains the cook crane is waiting for the fish to come, and patiently waiting for the fish to come. But when the fish comes, immediately it catches, not waiting for anything, and immediately it catches. Like that, we have to wait for the opportunities, and when it emerges, we should grab it immediately. We should not miss it. That is more important when the opportunities are emerging globally. That's what, and the same way, we, in our own business, then we gave the importance of the customers and then the employees. So they were, that time only we realized, all the customers, we had very good relationship. That's why they were continuing, even in COVID time, they didn't shift anywhere. They were continuing with us, even though the little prices were high, they were supporting us. So it shows the importance of relationship with the customers, that we realized much, and we wanted to improve that still more. And our government, UAE government, they bounce back very much into very faster into healthcare requirements, logistics, like importing vaccines or importing oxygen cylinders or whatever. They did very well, and then faster they did, so that everyone understood the importance of logistics that time, that opportunity we capitalized also. That way, any bad thing, good opportunities, we enjoyed that also. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Muru. I share the same sentiment, because basically we saw a total disruption of the global supply chain. And as you know, it's quite funny that you mentioned crane, because that's the equipment that I use at the ports. So we had our best 2 years over the last 2 years, and that is obviously opportunities in terms of crisis. Unfortunately, I do not know what work from home is like, because we had to be at the port as an essential service, and I had to get COVID to actually enable myself to be working from home. Anyway, we all went through a perfect storm. We also had new terminologies like new norms, and I think people are talking about a new world order, or maybe to that extent, new world disorder, So we've got a few challenges ahead of us: climate change, geopolitical tensions, war, the threat of war, disruption of the global supply chain, and of course, if you believe the economists, we've got a gloomy global economic outlook. So out of these elements, right, which one actually keeps you up at night the most? Dato.
Thank you, Dato. Like it or not, we airline are at the end of the supply chain. So all the effects are with us, and ended up people will be blaming us, whether it's delay or because of weather and so on, right? But the two key issues that I may want to bring up due to the supply chains or global threats are the inflations, because the currency values keep dropping. As such, the ticket price may go up or may fluctuate more as compared to before. And the other issues are the interest rate, due to the bank OPRs or the lending rates are keep increasing day by day. As such, that will impact to the financing rates of the aircraft or the machines and so on. So that will have a big impact to our industry, so to speak, Dato.
Karthik?
Yeah, I mean, my perspective on this is, if you look at it, there's always a crisis happening in the world. You know, every 10 years you have a crisis. For example, if you just look back a little bit in history, right? So the last 30, 40 years, in the 1990s, we had the Iraq war with Saddam Hussein and Bush. And then in 2000, you had the dot-com bust. And 2008, 2010, we had the global financial crisis. And exactly 10 years later, we have COVID pandemic, which changed the world. So another 10 years from now, something else is going to happen. Something or the other keeps coming every time. And obviously, one thing which bothers, I think which should bother all of us here as leaders is whatever is happening in the world, right? It really bothers. For example, climate change. Bill Gates has written a good book on how to avoid a climate disaster. And what he says is we emit about 50 billion tons of carbon emission every year, and that needs to drop down to zero. But why do we care as leaders? Because people care, right? People want to work in companies who really care. Let me share a small story. Actually what we did, Rhino is the mascot of DCKAP. We have the Rhino mascot. And then the team said there were a couple of rhinos which they brought to the Chennai Vandalur Zoo. And they said, hey, these two rhinos are ready for adoption, or they're looking for somebody to adopt it. So would DCKAP be interested? Again, I'm not a big animal lover, but then the team said, hey, let's just do it. And the cost was not too expensive compared to the value we get. And we said, okay, let's just do it. And we adopted a couple of rhinos in the Chennai Zoo. And I just forgot about it. But then this happened in Chennai in India. But then when I was talking to the US team, one of the person was telling me, she was telling me that, hey, I'm really, really glad that we adopted these two rhinos and they are really needed for the environment. I'm really proud, or I'm happy to be working here. And that really had a big impact on me. And when I talk to some candidates, when we hire people, they tell, hey, you know what, I'm glad you guys are adopting the rhinos. It was a very, very small thing we did, but it's a very, very big impact, and I could really realize the impact. So the point I'm trying to make is, as leaders, we need to care for the environment or whatever is happening across the world, and we have to be vocal as well. And one thing I've realized is people appreciate that, especially the people who work with you, they appreciate it. And yeah, so we always try to see how we can keep evolving as a company. Yeah.
Muru?
Yeah. Actually, when the war and war threats are definitely not good for anyone, and it is the worst one because we lose a lot of lives on that. But still, that is also giving some opportunities for the shipping companies, I would say, that any short-term solutions like relief material logistics, sending relief material to the countries, that and all happening that time. And long-time supply chain requirements will be there, like rebuilding the nation. Wherever the threat war happened, there they have to do the rebuilding of the nation. For that also, a lot of long-term logistic requirements will be there. That is met out by the logistic companies. That way, we are a little bit capitalizing on those situations too, even though it is not good for any war. Just that.
Yeah, are you handling the shipment of tanks and aircraft to Ukraine?
We are handling actually relief material very much into countries where war happening, and then rebuilding the nation, then which we have not handled, but air relief we have done. Yeah.
I want to come back to Dato Chandran, because basically, we're all businessmen here, and he mentioned two very pertinent points: the cost of goods going up, and of course, exchange rate. So how are you addressing these concerns?
Some things we have beyond our control, some things we can do by managing the other costs, right? So in order for us to remain competitive, the airfares has to be either same or either slightly lower than your competitor. It can't be so expensive. So we are looking into other ways, optimizing other costs like the resources, staff costs, the adaptation of technologies into where we do things. We involve technology use to minimize the resources where we can manage our costs, so that the airfares will remain competitive in future.
Okay. Well, I'm saying this so that you all witnesses, basically. I'm due for a marketing visit to India, and I vow to board Batik Air. Okay. I hope all of you also will be using Batik Air. Okay. I mean, the theme has actually been mentioned. In terms of crisis, there's always going to be opportunities. So let's go on a wider perspective. We're all businessmen here. We cover parts of the value chain and so on and so forth. If you have a crystal ball, basically, which sectors, which products, which services do you expect to flourish under the current global business environment, and why do you think so? Maybe we go with Karthik first. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, even before I talk about industries, one thing which we are seeing is decentralized growth. In the past, it used to be like the big cities, like the Silicon Valley, or you got to be in Bangalore and all that. One thing which is very, very fascinating is a lot of people have actually moved back to villages, and they work from villages, and thanks to the Indian government, we have great connectivity across all the villages there, and people are working from there, and then they travel the world to attend conferences like this. And it's working out really well. So we definitely foresee a lot of decentralized growth, especially tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities. So I'm very optimistic in terms of the growth, not happening in a city, but just happening everywhere. And in terms of industries, I'm definitely very bullish about technology. That's where, that's the play we are in. And also cybersecurity is, I feel, it's another very, very important thing, because there's so much data going here and there. Cybersecurity, privacy, these are very, very important things. And I think in the morning, we also talked about water management, waste management. These are all problems which we need to solve. And also tourism, because now, if you look at it, the affordability of people is just going up. People can spend more. And there is equal opportunity, not just for the wealthy, but for everybody, or it's getting there. So I'm also very bullish about the tourism industry.
Okay. Well, I think both Dato, Chandran, and myself were actually quite keen on magic bubbles. We like that product. Okay. With regards to timing, of course, we're going to target a few of panelists with certain questions. So maybe for the last, the penultimate question, basically, we want to tap Muru, basically. What are the opportunities that you and your company are chasing after or looking for right now, and how are you positioning your company in the global market?
Yes, Dato. Actually, as I mentioned to you already, logistic trade has got many verticals. In that LCL, FCL, I told you. Our company was basically, for many years, it is known as LCL company, less than a container load. That is only we were handling it. But then later, we found it. If you handle LCL product only, you will not be able to fight with the market, because there are a lot of small players coming in particular trade lane. Trade lane means if it is from Dubai to India and then Dubai to Italy, that's called one trade lane. In that particular trade lane, some small forwarder is coming, and in the X trade lane, one is coming, and Y somebody is coming, Z somebody is coming. So we are going to fight with the small companies. That becomes difficult. So we realize the situation, realize the importance of having integration that time. So our company wanted to integrate into backward as well as forward integration that time, and they went into getting into more companies, acquiring more companies. Some FCL companies they acquired, some air freight company they acquired, and now they have got a courier company called GATI, GATI, GATI in India. They have acquired also, so that they can be in any product. And nowadays, if you are doing one product or one service only in the particular industry, you will not be able to succeed. That important they understood, and they have integrated in all the products. So that is where definitely we wanted to give a total supply chain solution to any customer. That is where we can stand in the market. So that is what now we positioned ourselves. Like not only a LCL company, it is a total supply chain we can give it to the company. So we just go to the customer and discuss with them what is your total logistic solution cost and what you are spending for the last 2-3 years, how much you have spent. Then we analyze and we study that and we give a solution to them. The entire solution package we give it to them, and then we show them that we can do it at a reduced cost. So that way we have become the global supply chain total solution partner for any company now. That is the way we are positioning ourselves in the market. That is what differentiating us from any other company also. So I would tell you, for any market positioning, there are some 5-6 criteria are there. There is a Kural, I will take the word over again to help me on this. Porul, Karuvi, Kalam, Vinayudan Aindum, Irul Nika, Irul Tira Enichayal. Irul Tira Enichayal. That means there are 5 factors. Porul means capital, and then Karuvi means material, and then Kalam means time, and then Vinay means what you are going to do, action plan, and then Idam means place. So all these 5 you have to know clearly to position your company or product or any services also. So I would add the 6th point also. That is like you should know the culture of that market. Otherwise you will not be able to position your product. I will give you an example for this, a small story. Actually, one Arabic company gave an advertisement campaign to a foreign company, because in UAE you can see a lot of UK companies only doing business. So they gave an advertisement campaign to the company, and that was an energy drink company. They gave the advertisement to him, and then they prepared advertisement, and that was published in the magazines everywhere. But the product didn't get any sales shoot up or something, and it was actually going down. They analyzed what happened, why this advertisement campaign is not helping. Then they found it, because they have put advertisement like this for energy drink. One thin guy is there, he is very dull looking. Then the next poster is, he is drinking the energy drink. The third poster is, he is very strong enough. Like this only he prepared. But then why the advertisement campaign didn't work out? Because in Arabic, they read it from the right to left. So he was a strong guy. After drinking the energy drink, maybe he became dull. So that was the show. So you should know the culture of the market so that you can position your product accordingly. So that's what I want to say.
Just to add that, though, in terms of opportunities, especially in our business, is every day we have problems. Every new problem is basically today new norm. Things of doing the way of doing business have changed. So the key would be how fast can we adapt to the situation and come up with a new solution. So then we can remain reasonably adaptive to the market.
Okay. Well, just to put in my perspective, basically, I think the global disruption, the disruption of the global supply chain basically allows us to think more strategically and open-minded. I think new terms such as offshoring and just in case, mentality, whereby you need to start setting up regional distribution hubs, for example. So this is one of the things that Malaysia is really trying to do, to take advantage of its infrastructure as well as its vast land area, whereby we can actually play the role of the hub for, intra-Asia trade, including India. I mean, that's the reason why I'm going to India, hopefully in the next couple of months. So hopefully I will be able to meet up with you there. And maybe just at this juncture, maybe I'll just wrap it all up with one question that I will pose to all 3 panelists. In line with the theme of this IBCN, which is innovative entrepreneurship, what would be your advice to today's entrepreneurs, young and old, in the face of the multitude of challenges that the world is facing?
If I may start, I think I should learn from all the entrepreneurs here in this room today, because record shows the Chettiar communities are the most successful traders in the past. If you go back to last 1,000 years, which is they've been able to manage to adapt to the situation, the ups and downs, in last 100 years, especially in this region. They were traders, they were into all kind of business. So I would like to pick up from all of you today and also in the future. Thank you.
Karthik?
Thank you. Andy Grove, the legendary ex-CEO of Intel, wrote a great book called Only the Paranoid Survive. So that's a book I definitely recommend everybody to read. In his book, he talks about a strategic inflection point. So what is a strategic inflection point? What Andy Grove says is, when the fundamentals of how you run your business changes, you are in a strategic inflection point. It's not only for a business, it's even for us as individuals. When the fundamentals of how we operate change, we are at a strategic inflection point. By show of hands, I just have a quick question for the audience. Anybody is familiar with this movie called The Jazz Singer, which released in 1926? It was produced by Warner Brothers. Anybody knows what's special about that movie? You're not born then, yeah. So the interesting thing about that movie is that's the first film which was produced with sound. Actors and actresses talk to each other they talk to each other. Before that, people did not talk in movies. So that's when talkies was created. But when the talkies was created, everybody resisted change. Even the great superstar, Charlie Chaplin, resisted change. He did not make talking movies until about 10 years later in 1940, he made The Great Dictator. That's around the same time when the Burma thing happened. And if you look at it, that's a strategic inflection point. So talking movies is a strategic inflection point. If you still make movies where people don't talk, then you're out of business. You're gone. You have your eventual slow death. So same thing with Burma too, where people who came out of Burma, they survived and thrived. But people who were very dependent on Burma, they had to eventually get out of business. So I feel we are at a strategic inflection point today, and we have to capitalize on this opportunity. This is a very big opportunity. It's a global world. So that's one thing. And one last thing I want to say is, this is something Pablo Picasso said. He said, good artists copy, great artists steal. So copy, kuchme padama copy edikano. Shamelessly copy. This is something I didn't say. Pablo Picasso said, and even Jeff Bezos said this. So that's something I would share. Yeah.
Thank you.
So we need to encourage collaboration and information sharing. That is what we are doing. IBCN is doing a great job, and we have to enhance that in the coming IBCN or in the days to come. And moreover, we have to provide access to the capital and training. That is more important. Just by talking, different people will not be able to do it. So they should make the access for capital and training by the elders and by who have done very good business already. And they should make a capital fund for to support everybody. These things IBCN has to still more to think and should. That's what I would say. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Well, to summarize all the points made by our three gentlemen, definitely I am looking forward to my trip to India to shamelessly copy and collaborate with you all. And thank you very much to all the panelists and to all of you for staying on. This is the graveyard shift, but you all listen intently, so you've been a credit. So thank you. Let's give a big round of applause to the panelists.
Thank you.